All right, so welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be doing things a little differently.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to be jumping into a tech time capsule.
ooh, a time capsule.
Yeah, and revisiting the Samsung Galaxy S10.
The S10.
Yeah, which I think came out way back in 2019.
90.
So a while ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we've got a whole stack of reviews and specs here.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking through them, and kind of our mission is to figure out,
Our mission?
yeah, if this phone could still even hold its own.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about maybe picking up a used phone,
Okay.
or just love a bit of tech nostalgia, or
Yeah.
just enjoy geeking out on specs and stuff,
Yeah.
this is the deep dive for you.
Yeah, it's amazing, how quickly tech evolves.
Huh.
What was once cutting edge
Yeah.
can seem almost quaint
Yeah.
just a few years later.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, those older devices are totally irrelevant.
Exactly. And our primary source, actually, a review from January 2023 jumps right into
Okay.
two key features of the S10.
Mm-hmm.
Its durability,
Okay.
thanks to Gorilla Glass 6,
Yeah.
and its performance, powered by the Snapdragon 855 processor.
Okay.
I remember hearing those names thrown around back then.
Yeah.
But were they actually impressive?
Oh, absolutely. Gorilla Glass 6, that was a big deal.
Okay.
Because it significantly improved, scratch and drop resistance.
Oh, okay.
So it was designed to withstand, multiple drops.
Wow.
From a meter high onto rough surfaces.
Uh,
think about all the times you've dropped your phone.
Too many.
That kind of durability was a game changer for a lot of people.
Okay, so clumsy users rejoice.
Yeah.
But what about that Snapdragon 855?
Yeah.
Was that a powerhouse back in the day?
It was the flagship processor
Okay.
for Android phones in 2019.
Okay.
It used a 7-nanometer architecture,
Okay.
which at the time was incredibly small and efficient.
Wow.
So this meant faster processing speeds
Okay.
and better battery life compared to previous generations.
Okay.
To put it in perspective, it could handle pretty much anything you threw at it.
Wow.
Demanding games,
Oh, okay.
multitasking, you name it.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so basically the S10 was built like a tank
Yeah,
and could run like a cheetah.
pretty much.
But how does all that hold up in 2025?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be the fastest phone on the block anymore.
Oh.
Technology's marched on,
Yeah.
and newer processors are significantly more powerful.
Yeah.
But remember, the 855 was a beast in its time.
Okay.
And for everyday tasks, browsing,
Yeah.
email, social media, even some light gaming,
Sure.
it can still hold its own.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
The review also raves about the S10's AMOLED screen.
Okay.
It talks about its vibrant colors and deep blacks.
Yeah.
Now, I remember seeing lots of different screen types back then,
Mm-hmm.
but what made AMOLED stand out?
AMOLED was definitely a premium feature in 2019,
Okay.
and for a few reasons.
Okay.
First, unlike LCD screens, which require a backlight,
Yeah.
each pixel in an AMOLED screen emits its own light.
Oh, wow.
So this means you get incredible contrast
Okay.
with true blacks and much more vibrant colors.
Okay.
It's the difference between watching a movie on an old TV
Oh.
and then seeing it in a high-end theater.
Okay, I see. So it sounds like
Yeah.
AMOLED was the way to go if you wanted,
It's one of the best.
yeah, a really immersive experience.
Yeah.
But was there a downside?
Great question.
Did it affect battery life or something?
That's a great question. Actually, AMOLED can be more energy efficient
Oh, really?
than LCD,
Right.
especially when displaying darker colors.
Oh,
Since black pixels in an AMOLED screen are essentially off.
right.
They don't consume any power.
Wow.
So, ironically, watching a movie with a lot of dark scenes
Yeah.
could actually save battery compared to an LCD screen.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like Samsung was really pushing boundaries,
Yeah,
the display tech.
definitely.
But let's move on to another area where smartphones
Okay.
have seen massive improvement over the years.
Yeah.
The camera.
Yes, the camera. The S10 boasted a triple rear camera setup.
Okay.
A main lens, an ultra-wide lens, and a telephoto lens.
That sounds pretty standard now.
Yeah,
But was that a big deal back in 2019?
it was.
I remember most phones just having a single lens back then,
Yeah.
and it was awesome blurry.
Yeah.
Has-
Having multiple lenses with different focal lengths
Okay.
was definitely a sign of a premium phone.
Okay.
It meant you could capture a wider range of shots
Okay.
without compromising on quality.
So it was like having a mini photography studio
Yeah.
in your pocket.
Exactly.
Can you break down what each lens was for?
Sure.
I have to admit, I still get them confused sometimes.
Of course. So the main lens would be your workhorse. For everyday photos,
Okay.
the ultra-wide lens was perfect for capturing like sweeping landscapes
Okay.
or large group shots, where you want to fit everything in.
Right.
And the telephoto lens, as the name suggests,
Yeah.
allowed you to zoom in on distant objects without sacrificing too much detail.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like Samsung was aiming for versatility
Yeah, definitely.
with this camera setup.
Mm-hmm.
But how does it actually stack up against, like, the cameras we have today?
Yeah.
I mean, I could shoot practically cinematic quality video on my phone now.
You're right. Phone cameras have come a long way since 2019.
Yeah.
We now see phones with even more lenses,
Yeah.
higher megapixel counts, and like crazy AI features
Right.
that can practically like edit your photos for you.
It's wild.
But remember back in 2019, the S10's triple camera setup
Yeah.
was considered top of the line.
Okay, so it was a trailblazer in its time.
For sure.
But would those photos and videos still impress us in 2025?
I think they would hold up surprisingly well,
Okay.
especially for everyday use.
Yeah.
The S10's camera was known for producing like sharp images
Okay.
with good dynamic range, meaning it could capture detail in both the highlights and shadows.
Wow.
It might not have all the fancy AI tricks of newer phones, but the fundamentals are still there.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Take a peek under the hood of this phone.
Let's see what makes this thing tick.
All right, so the S10 came with 8 GB of RAM,
Okay.
which even today sounds like a decent amount.
Yeah.
Plus it had storage options, ranging from 128 GB to a whopping 1 terabyte.
Wow.
1 terabyte.
Yeah.
I can't imagine needing that much storage back then.
Yeah.
Did people really fill up their phones that quickly?
It's funny how our perception of storage changes over time.
Right.
8 GB of RAM was considered very generous in 2019.
Okay.
It allowed for smooth multitasking
Okay.
and could handle demanding apps and games without breaking a sweat.
Right.
And as for that 1 TB storage option,
Okay.
it was definitely aimed at power users.
Okay.
People who shot a ton of photos and videos,
Yeah.
downloaded lots of music and movies,
Right.
and basically lived their digital lives on their phone.
It's like they anticipated our current obsession with storing every single photo and video.
Pretty much.
But in 2025, is that much onboard storage even relevant anymore?
I mean,
We have cloud storage now.
that's true. Cloud storage has become incredibly popular, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It offers convenience and peace of mind, knowing that your data is backed up.
Right.
However, onboard storage still has its advantages.
Okay.
You don't have to rely on an internet connection
Right.
to access your files.
Yeah.
And it can be faster for certain tasks,
Okay.
especially things like gaming or video editing.
Okay, so a 1 TB S10 would still be a digital hoarder's dream, even in 2025.
Yeah, probably.
But before we get too carried away with storage space,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the other fun extras
Okay.
the S10 offered.
Yeah.
The review mentions a fingerprint sensor,
Uh-huh.
face recognition, fast charging,
Yeah.
even the Bixby voice assistant.
Oh, yeah.
I vaguely remember Bixby.
Hmm.
Was it any good?
Bixby.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say it was Samsung's attempt to
Okay.
create their own voice assistant ecosystem.
Okay.
It had its moments,
Okay.
but it wasn't always the most reliable or intuitive compared to like its competitors like Siri and Google Assistant.
It's funny how some tech innovations really take off, while others kind of just fade into the background.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how have those other features,
Okay.
like the fingerprint sensor, face recognition, fast charging,
Yeah.
how have those evolved in newer phone models?
Significantly. Fingerprint sensors have become incredibly fast and accurate.
Okay.
Some are even embedded under the display itself. Face recognition has also become more secure and sophisticated,
Okay.
with some phones using 3D mapping technology for added security.
Wow.
And fast charging.
Yeah.
Let's just say you can practically fully charge your phone
Okay.
in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee these days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like those fun extras on the S10
Yeah.
were just a taste of what was to come.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the review wraps up by saying
Okay.
that thanks to its powerful processor and 8 GB of RAM,
Mm-hmm.
the S10 could handle just about anything you throw at it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be real.
Okay.
Could a phone from 2019 truly be a workhorse in 2025?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll be diving into next.
All right, stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been digging into like all the specs
Yeah.
of the Samsung Galaxy S10,
Yeah.
a phone that,
Yeah.
despite being released way back in 2019,
Yeah.
still has some like pretty impressive features.
Definitely.
But the big question is,
Yeah.
could it actually like keep up
Right.
with our digital lives in 2025?
That's what we're here to find out.
Okay.
You know, it's all about managing expectations.
Okay.
You're not going to get like the same level of performance as a brand new flagship phone,
Right.
but the S10 might surprise you
Okay.
with what it can still handle.
Okay, so no running the latest VR games?
Probably not.
Or anything?
Yeah,
But could it still be like a reliable daily driver?
absolutely. Remember that Snapdragon 855?
Yeah.
Was a powerhouse in its day.
Okay.
For everyday tasks.
Wow.
Like browsing the web,
Mm-hmm.
checking email,
Yeah.
scrolling through social media, even streaming videos.
Good.
The S10 is still more than capable.
That's a relief to hear. Starting to think those
Nah.
6-year-old phones were destined for the recycling bin.
Not so fast. In fact,
Sure.
there are several reasons
Okay.
why someone might choose an S10 even in 2025.
Okay, like what?
For one, the price.
Okay, yeah.
You can often find used S10s in great condition
Yeah.
for a fraction of the cost of a new phone.
Right.
And let's be honest,
Right.
not everyone needs the absolute latest and greatest tech.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
My wallet definitely appreciates a good deal.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm a big believer in reducing e-waste.
Right.
So extending the life of like
Yeah.
perfectly functional devices,
Exactly.
this makes sense to me.
I couldn't agree more. And remember, even though it's a few years old,
Yeah.
the S10 still boasts features that were considered top of the line back in 2019.
Right.
That AMOLED screen, for example,
Yeah.
will still blow you away with its vibrant colors and deep black.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the triple camera setup,
Yeah.
while not as fancy as what we have today,
Right.
is still capable of taking excellent photos.
Exactly. It's a testament
Yeah.
to how much technology has advanced in a relatively short time.
Yeah, it really is.
It was once considered cutting edge.
Yeah.
Can now be found in more affordable, slightly older models.
Okay, so we've established that the S10
Yeah,
might still have a place
definitely.
in our tech-obsessed world.
Yeah.
But let's be brutally honest.
Okay.
What are some of the potential downsides
Sure.
of rocking a phone from 2019 and 2025?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is software support.
Okay.
Samsung is generally good
Yeah.
about providing updates, but the S10 is getting up there in age.
Right.
It might not receive the latest Android updates
Yeah.
or security patches, which could be a deal breaker for some people.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
Security is a big deal, especially
Product
with
like right now.
all the sensitive information we store on our phones these days.
Exactly.
Are there any other potential drawbacks we should be aware of?
Another thing to consider is battery life.
Right.
Batteries naturally degrade over time,
Yeah.
and a used S10 is likely to have a battery.
Yeah.
That's not as fresh as it used to be.
Right.
You might find yourself needing to charge it more often,
Yeah.
and the overall battery capacity might be reduced.
So it's like buying a used car.
Exactly.
You might get a great deal,
Yeah.
but you also need to factor in
Yeah.
potential maintenance costs.
With a used phone, you're essentially inheriting the previous owner's
Right.
usage patterns and battery wear and tear.
Something else that comes to mind is app compatibility.
Okay.
I know some older apps stop working on newer phones,
Yeah.
but could the reverse be true as well? Could there be issues
Potentially.
running newer apps on a phone like the S10?
That's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
App developers are constantly optimizing their apps
Right.
for the latest hardware and software.
Yeah.
So there's always a chance you might encounter some compatibility issues or like performance hiccups on an older phone. It's
Yeah.
like trying to play
Yeah.
a brand new video game
Right.
on a vintage computer.
Yeah.
It might technically work, but the experience probably won't be as smooth.
So it's always a good idea
Yeah,
to check app requirements
for sure.
and read user reviews
Yeah,
before buying an older phone,
definitely.
just to make sure it can actually run the apps you need.
Absolutely. It's all about setting realistic expectations
Yeah.
and understanding the trade-offs involved.
Okay, I think we've painted a pretty comprehensive picture
I think so.
of the S10's strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
both in its prime and how it holds up in 2025.
Yeah, we've explored its specs,
Yeah.
its innovative features for its time, and
Yeah.
some of the potential challenges
Right.
of using it in today's world.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I think it's time for like our resident tech expert
Okay.
to give us a final verdict.
Okay.
Is the Samsung Galaxy S10
Yeah.
a relic of the past?
Okay.
Or could it still be a viable option
Right.
for certain users in 2025?
Well, I wouldn't call it a relic just yet.
Okay.
The S10 was a groundbreaking phone in its day, and many of its features still hold up remarkably well for users who prioritize value,
Okay.
reliability,
Mm-hmm.
and aren't obsessed with having the absolute latest tech.
Yeah.
The S10 could still be a great option,
Okay.
especially on the used market.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that right balance
Yeah.
between features, performance, and of course, budget.
Exactly. And remember, technology is ultimately a tool.
Yeah.
It's up to us to decide how we use it
Right.
and what value it brings to our lives.
Well said.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet.
Oh.
We want to hear from you, our listeners.
Okay.
Would you consider buying
Yeah.
a used Samsung Galaxy S10 in 2025?
Interesting.
What factors would influence your decision?
Join the conversation on social media and let us know your thoughts.
Okay.
We love hearing from our insightful and engaged audience.
And stay tuned for the final part
Okay.
of our deep dive,
Right.
where we'll explore some of the broader implications
That's it.
of the S10's legacy
Yeah.
and what it tells us about
Yeah.
the ever-evolving world of technology.
Yeah.
So, we spent this whole deep dive exploring this Samsung Galaxy S10,
Yeah.
this phone that was like a technological marvel back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's got me thinking,
Okay.
even if the S10 isn't like the hot new item anymore,
Yeah.
what can it teach us
Yeah.
about how technology
That-
evolves
Yeah.
and how we relate to our gadgets?
What's so fascinating here is how the S10 acts as a sort of benchmark.
Yeah.
It shows us just how quickly technology progresses.
Right.
What seemed cutting edge in 2019 is now, well, a bit more vintage.
Yeah.
It really highlights that constant drive for innovation.
Like every year there's a new must-have phone.
Yeah.
And we're almost expected to keep up.
Yeah.
Do you think this constant push for the next big thing is
Nah.
always a good thing?
It's complex.
Okay.
On one hand,
Yeah.
that drive leads to incredible advancements.
Yeah.
Think about how far cameras,
Huh.
processors, even AI integration has come
Right.
in just a few years.
It's crazy.
But it also creates this culture of disposability where we might be tempted to upgrade,
Yeah.
even if our current devices are still perfectly capable.
I know I've fallen into that trap.
Yeah.
It's like we're conditioned to always want
Yeah.
the newest, shiniest object,
Mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't truly improve our lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this has real-world consequences.
Okay.
E-waste is a huge problem, and
Oh.
constantly churning through new devices contributes to it.
So where does that leave a phone like the S10?
Right.
Is it destined for the landfill?
Yeah.
Or does it have a role to play
Yeah.
in a world that seems obsessed with the latest and greatest?
This raises an important question
Yeah.
about our relationship with technology.
Okay.
The S10 still has a lot to offer, especially for users who prioritize value
Right.
and functionality
Okay.
over having the absolute newest model.
It's like choosing a classic car
Exactly.
over the latest sports model.
Yeah.
There's a certain charm
Yeah.
and satisfaction
Totally.
in appreciating something that's well built
Yeah.
and still performs admirably.
Exactly. There's a growing movement
Yeah.
towards sustainability and conscious consumption,
Yeah.
and that extends to tech.
Okay.
Instead of automatically going for the latest model, we can explore options like
Yeah.
buying refurbished devices, extending the life of our current phones,
Yeah.
or even embracing older models that
Yes.
still meet our needs.
So instead of viewing the S10 as outdated,
Yeah.
we can appreciate it as a testament
Yeah.
to how far we've come technologically.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Just like a vintage record player.
Yeah.
or a classic film camera,
Mm-hmm.
an older phone can hold value and appeal.
Challenges us to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
do we really need the most expensive phone
Yeah.
with all the bells and whistles? Or can we be content with something
Yeah.
that simply works well
Yeah.
and fulfills our needs?
It's a question worth pondering.
For sure.
The S10 reminds us that technology should serve us,
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Well said. So, listeners, we leave you with this.
Okay.
What does the Samsung Galaxy S10,
Yeah.
a phone frozen in time from 2019,
Right.
make you think about how we interact with technology?
What lessons can we learn from its journey? And perhaps more importantly,
Yeah.
how can we apply those lessons
Right.
to our own tech choices moving forward?
Thank you for joining us
Yes.
on this deep dive into the Samsung Galaxy S10.
It's been a pleasure.
We encourage you to continue the conversation on social media or leave us a review.
And until next time, stay curious.